Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you. I hope your week is going well. My name is Nick, and each Sunday we pick a random subject. It might be about the channel or something that's going on in the world or a bit of physics or space, but it's completely and utterly random. Now, if we sometimes we hit a controversial subject, which sometimes I don't realise it's controversial until the comments actually start hitting in, but it's always done in good fun. We never want to declare war on anyone or stamp people down to death or run them over or anything. The only reason I say that is because either last week or the week before we did a video regarding the flat earth, where 3 people were on this morning claiming the earth was flat. I disagree with it. I don't think the earth is flat, but each their own, despite all the contrary evidence. Because I just see it from my point of view, other people see it from their point of views. It's best to agree to differ, so I don't believe the earth is flat, but I don't want to call anyone stupid who thinks the other way, because they have their own reasons behind it. And the same can be said for quite a lot of different subjects, going from Elvis is still alive to the Loch Ness Monster, and all that sort of stuff. So we're all free will people. We examine all the evidence ourselves, and then we come to our own conclusion that we're happy with. So we're all friends here, despite whatever you think and contrasting views. So that's what I'm saying first of all. So what are we talking about this week? Well, it all concerns Professor Stephen Hawking. Now, he recently died on March the 14th, 2018. I'm sure you've heard of Stephen Hawking because he's so ingrained in popular culture. He was an English physicist and cosmologist and author, and he wrote the book A Brief History of Time. That's probably his most famous works, although he did write A Briefer History of Time as well, and he did quite groundbreaking work on black holes. Now, he annoyed quite a lot of other people in his field. Sometimes he had a lot of evidence behind his theories, sometimes he didn't have too much, and it was just a hypothesis rather than anything worked out. But the truth had to be said. Whenever Stephen Hawking said something, you actually had to take notice, because this wasn't a crank running around in the street declaring all sorts of things unsubstantiated. This is coming from quite a clever fellow. Now, Stephen Hawking, I'm sure you know him. He in the 70s or 80s, he was diagnosed with having motor neuron disease and only given 2 years to live. But he lived a full life up to the age of 76. Which was, everything with Stephen Hawking was unbelievable. And yeah, so what are we saying here then? So he died age 76. It was a bit of a shock. He didn't seem the sort of thing that he would get involved with. But before he died, back in 2017, he said something quite revolutionary and perhaps a little bit scary. He said, humanity has only 100 years left to leave Earth or they will perish. Okay, that's a bit of a worry. 100 years, that isn't very long. So essentially 100 years to leave the Earth, find another planet and colonise it. So if something happened to planet Earth, we'd still be alive. Now, to be honest with you, it's 50 years since we was on the moon, and so just think 2 times that. We've got to take all that and get somewhere else. I'm not sure this is fully doable unless everyone gets behind it, and planet Earth is pretty much in conflict with each other. So are we doomed or are we not doomed? Now, Stephen Hawking originally said before this that the Earth has 1,000 years before reaching its death, which is a bit more time to play with. I'm sure would be without asteroid hitting us or anything, 1,000 years we might have the development to do this sort of thing quite easily. But before his death, he changed it to 100 years, citing things like global warming, overpopulation, pandemics, asteroid strikes, and also the threat of improved artificial intelligence taking over as of in Terminator 2. So to quote him, he said in his computer voice, which I won't do, I strongly believe we should start seeking alternative planets for possible habitation. We are running out of space on Earth and we need to break through technological limitations preventing us living elsewhere in the universe. 100 years. Good luck. You might have a science project running and could be on a different planet, but this takes actually billions and billions and billions of money, and also a lot of cooperation between countries. Now, the entrepreneur and businessman Elon Musk and founder of SpaceX, he's got this plan to colonize Mars with ships going there. I don't know how far forward that's going, but have you ever seen the film The Martian? For the first person that gets to Mars, it's going to be pretty tricky, isn't it? It's going to be really tough. I might have done a vlog about this before, but it might work. It it might not. But, 100 years? What are your thoughts about that? Do you think we've got longer than that? Or do you think that's just about right with the way the world is going? Now, this might explain why, for all the stars in the galaxy we pointed radio telescopes to try and track down the sources of life or communications, this might prove that there's no aliens out there because they didn't get advanced enough in the time they had before some natural disaster wiped them out. Now, we have the planet Jupiter working as a big magnet for asteroids, so there's a few that might have hit us that didn't, but eventually there's going to be a stray one come through, like what happened with the dinosaurs 60 odd million years ago, and it's going to kaboom us unless we have some amazing planetary shield or we've got some way of moving that asteroid before it actually hits us. When you talk about civilizations on Earth, so take this down to a smaller scale, like the Aztecs, Romans, the Incas, something's actually happened to dissolve them. It might be a natural disaster, it might have evolved into something else, but it seems to me that you've only got a certain amount of time, either planetary or galactically or through interspace, before you're absolutely doomed. Another good film to see is Interstellar, which focuses on this a little bit, where we're trying to discover other worlds to physically live on. Now, what are your thoughts behind this? Do you think this is gobbledygook? Do you think that we've got longer than 100 years? Or do you think Stephen Hawking was right? Now, not everything he said, Stephen Hawking, in his career was welcomed, especially things like black hole theory. I don't know if you've read up on this. It's a bit complicated for me to go down, and I'm probably not a clever enough person to describe it in the right way. But black holes are pretty much everywhere, and they suck in an infinite amount of material, and then, according to Stephen Hawking, at one point they just disappeared, information is lost. So there was a lot of controversy there. But 100 years, so I might have enough time to review everything on the spectrum ever. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I thought that was a little bit of interest to you. Not as controversial as the flat Earth from before, but some people might, Anyway, good stuff. So, thanks for listening to me rattle on there. Might be another vlog later on, a bit of an update on the channel, as we've been going full time for a week now. And till next time, till then, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye. Subscribe to M. Jenkin. His work on black holes is rubbish, but not as bad as his gameplay. Cowabunga dudes.